Use code SPIKEFEEDERS for 5% off at face-to-facegames.com. You can shop face-to-face games in US dollars, Canadian dollars, or even euros, and they'll ship just about everywhere. That's code SPIKEFEEDERS at checkout at face-to-facegames.com to help support the show.
What is up, Spikerinos? And welcome back to me, Elliot, him, Jan, him, Alex, and our Dominaria United set review. Today we're going to be going over rares and mythics that are non-legendary, as we went over all of the legendaries in our previous episode. Check it out over Jan's face. As well as a couple of express cool commons and uncommons that we feel like we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
How you gentlemen do today?
I'm great.
I'm good.
Let's get into it then. We're starting off with a heater. We've got Relic of Legends. 3 colorless mana for an artifact. Tap to add a mana of any color. Tap an untapped legendary creature you control. Add 1 mana of any color. Thoughts, questions, concerns?
Turns all of your legends into Burbs of Paradise.
Yeah.
Listen, I only get all my opinions from Twitter, and this is a 3-mana mana rock.
Oh, it's unplayable.
It's unplayable.
Yeah.
This is garbage. You'll never see this across from you at any table. If you do, they're bad at the game.
Yeah, true.
So now I'm going to turn Twitter off, and I love this card. This is sick.
I think card is really strong.
Yeah.
The fact that obviously the second ability does not require your creatures to be not summoning sick.
Correct.
Like, this card's a home run.
They can enter the battlefield and pay for you.
Yeah.
It's great.
They can't pay for themselves, though.
Art, obviously, an homage to Coalition Relic.
Yeah, very nice.
Said Relic of Legends.
Yeah.
Love it.
Super good.
Next up here. Oh, I don't know how to use Alex's mouse.
There you go.
Next up, we've got 1 black mana for Cut Down. It's an instant. Destroy target creature with total power and toughness 5 or less. I made up a list of things that this kills in CEDH. Everything. Thoughts?
Not Crom.
Oh, he got me.
Yeah. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
This kills Dranith Magistrate. This kills Opposition Agent, Notion Thief, Laboratory Maniac. The list literally goes on.
Yeah.
This card's insane.
That's really good.
I think my favorite thing about it is they've taken the design space for a lot of removal, and they've found a way to make it really impactful in Eternal formats, and probably not really affect Standard all that much.
Yeah.
It'll still be good in Standard.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be overwhelming, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that card. Next up, we got a couple neat kicker cards in this set, especially in the commons and uncommons. They are usually 1 color and then they kick for a second color, and they do something that both colors like to do. We're gonna only go over a couple of them today, but I think we love basically all of them.
Yeah,
so
they're all-
don't be offended if you don't see the one that you love.
Yeah, I fought hard for the cultivate and get to soldiers, but that's not as cool as the ones we're talking about.
Yeah. We're going to start off with Joint Exploration. 1 and a blue, 1 colorless, and a blue for an instant with kicker green. Scry 2, draw a card. If this was kicked, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Flavors of Growth Spiral with a hint of...
You're paying an extra mana.
Yeah, I don't know where this is going.
Well, Growth Spiral just draws a card.
That's right.
It's like preordained.
So you get the Scry 2 slapped on top there. This is instant speed. Love it.
Big fan.
The other one Alex fought for here is shoot him with your crossbow, Steve. Runic Shot.
So I love Runic Shot because it kills a tapped creature. That already for 1 white mana is great. Being able to kick for blue and also scry 2 on the end of it is just, hello, I'd like value.
Yeah.
I specifically love the art though, because it evokes such a cool use of magical technology, because what you're seeing here is a guy basically saying, oh, you need a targeting computer, no problem, we're just going to weave that up for you there, and you can shoot somebody way farther away with your crossbow.
Yeah, like right in the background, like this is how they would have done it, you know? Like
back 100 years ago, this is how they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they had their targeting mages.
Yeah, and they said target acquired.
Yeah. Oh god. Anyway, I just think white really could use something like that. I had a few conversations on Twitter about it, and I think it's about as pushed as one mana value removal can get without just being new swords.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, going into the rares and mythics here, starting off with Academy Lore Master. Blue for a creature human wizard, 2/3. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player may draw an additional card. If they do, spells they cast this turn cost 2 more to cast.
Oh boy.
Obviously, if you are being a mono blue or blue white or whatever control type deck and you're just playing draw go, this is just a one-sided Howling Mine.
I just want to throw this out there. There's still a deck, I believe in Explorer, that is green-blue, play on other people's turn flash.
Yeah.
I think this is a great card for anything that's even remotely like that.
Yeah. On the potentially CEDH side of things, this is a wizard. So you pay 1 and 2 blue and you get 2 of this in Inala. That's maybe something. I don't know. Next up, the Painlands were reprinted. We're not going to talk about them because they are reprints, but that's cool.
If you don't know what they are, Google them. Is that the Google them face?
That's the Google
3,
face.
2, 1. Google them face.
Next up, Aether Channeler, 2 and a blue for another human wizard. This one's a 2/1, and it has, when it ETBs, choose 1, create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying, return another target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, or draw a card. This is another card I'm probably excited about in the Inala shell in CEDH. They were already playing, I don't remember the name of it, but there is another 2 and a blue for a Mana War style wizard. This just gives you Mana War or draw a card or make a 1/1.
I like the utility on this. I'm not sure on the cost.
Again, the cost, the reason I'm still like probably subbing this in the Inala is because it's literally just replacing another 2 and a blue creature.
Okay.
Yes.
And in Inala, you're cheating on that effect because you're paying only 1 extra to make a second copy.
That's fair. Yeah. And especially in that case, being able to have a different choice for the second one or doubling up on whatever you're looking at. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, neat little dude. Next up, we've got Anointed Peacekeeper, 2 and a white for a human cleric. Vigilance, 3/3. As Anointed Peacekeeper enters the battlefield, look at an opponent's hand, then choose any card name. Spells your opponents cast with the chosen name cost 2 more to cast. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name cost 2 more to activate, unless they're mana abilities. This is a very interesting iteration on the Pithing Needle, Phyrexian Revoker type card. I love that it lets you look at their hand.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this is a nice combo for your more eternal formats. I don't see this being as useful in Commander unless you're going to be spiteful and just play it against their commander, in which case just play Drannith Magistrate.
The other thing you can do with this, because the way it's worded, is you play it, and then if they don't respond and you look at your hand, you can name fetch lands, even if they're not in their hand.
True.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
So you can kind of like try to multi-layer mind game your opponents,
Right.
because I could play it and I could pick Elliot and look at Elliot's hand and then name
Something from me.
Alex's
Yeah.
commander.
Right, Arid Mesa, Alex's battlefield.
So it's kind of an interesting.
Yeah, it's too late to do
Nice
anything
space.
by the time it.
By the time the ability.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Neat. Next up, we've got Archangel of Wrath, 2 white for an angel, 3/4. Kicker, black and or red. Flying, lifelink. When Archangel of Wrath enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, it deals 2 damage to any target. When Archangel of Wrath enters the battlefield, if it was kicked twice, it deals 2 damage to any target. So all in all, this is 2 white, black, red for a 3/4 angel with flying and lifelink that shocks 2 things.
That's right.
Or shocks 1 thing twice.
You did miss one trick though. It's got lifelink and is dealing the damage.
Yes. You gain life.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Wow.
I think at 6 mana
This
this
thing's
card
siege right now.
it's
Yeah.
sick. I will say I do really love the homage to Akroma here.
For sure.
It's very, very well done.
Yeah. Let's move on to Briar Hydra. 5 and a green for a plant hydra, trample, and a 6/6 body. Domain. Whenever Briar Hydra deals combat damage to a player, put X +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Thoughts? Anybody excited about this big monster?
I think this is like kind of underwhelming for Hydras. Like traditionally,
It doesn't do any Hydra.
if it was an
things,
X,
really, right?
if it was X and green and it was a star, then I think this is kind of cool. But like just being a 6/6 with trample that can make itself bigger, like you can't really play it in mono green.
The problem with Colossal Dreadmaw is that nobody wants to play it unless it has big upside, and I think you don't really want to be getting in for domain with this with anything less than 3.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it snowballs real hard.
Oh yeah, sometimes a 6/6 trampler for 6 is just going to close out games.
I think this is a house unlimited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not for our format here,
Yeah.
but yeah. We've got Chaotic Transformation next. 5 and a red for a sorcery. Exile up to 1 target artifact, up to 1 target creature, up to 1 target enchantment, up to 1 target planeswalker, and or up to 1 target land. For each permanent exiled this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a card that shares a card type with it, puts that card onto the battlefield, then shuffles. This is,
Hyper reweave.
yeah, like Omega Chaos Warp.
I do like that not everybody has to have this control the same.
Yeah.
Right? So you could do his artifact, her creature, their enchantment, my planeswalker, and your land.
Yeah.
And get all of them.
Yeah. I also love this style of effect for red because in a pinch, this allows red to deal with enchantments or planeswalkers or lands or whatever. But maybe they get something bigger, better.
Yeah.
Maybe they get. Oh no, I guess they can't get the same thing.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not
It's not
Chaos
actual
Warp.
Chaos Warp. It exiles it and then But yeah, I love that for red specifically.
I think it's pretty good. I think 6 mana is going to make it probably prohibitive.
Yeah, unless you're in the universe where you're hitting one of everything, right?
Yep.
6 is probably a little steep.
I'm going to play it. I love reweave.
Yeah.
Reweave 6. I love reweave.
Yeah, fair enough. Moving on to Cosmic Epiphany. 4 blue for a sorcery. Draw cards equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. I'm not excited about that. At sorcery speed for 6 mana, I'm wanting this to draw me, 8 cards? Like, how many cards are you trying to draw?
I guess the argument I would make is, what was the name of that guy who gave all sorcery spells flash?
Oh, like...
Oh,
Jalal
the
or-
Flash ripoff.
Yeah. The red, blue-red Ifrit.
Yeah, I think this is a build-around card, sort of as a refill finisher, because by the time you've got enough instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard to make this worth casting, it's very worth casting.
Yeah.
And also with their ability, if you've attacked for an additional 2, so instead of playing 6, you play 8, you do this twice.
Or you could fork it or any other number of things. And so having it have to start at 6 is probably fair.
Yeah.
But like, just as an example, the Ral, who copies instant and sorcery activations.
Yeah.
I think 6/4 draw 14.
Yep.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah. It does, as most blue cards do, scale with Storm.
Yeah.
Interestingly.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Next, we've got a cycle. Here we've got the Defiler cycle. So starting off with the blue one, we've got Defiler of Dreams, 3 blue for a 4/3 Phyrexian Sphinx. Flying. They all have an iteration on this effect. So as an additional cost to cast blue, permanent spells in this case, you may pay 2 life. Those spells cost blue less to cast if you paid life this way, and this effect reduces only the amount of blue mana you pay. Whenever you cast a blue permanent spell, draw a card.
And so we've got a whole cycle of these. They're either 4 or 5 mana value.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're usually 4 or 5 5s or bigger.
Yeah.
And then they all have that pay effect with the different colors. The white one has vigilance instead of flying and has whenever you cast a white permanent spell, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. The black one has menace, and whenever you cast a black permanent spell, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains menace until end of turn. The red one has first strike, and whenever you cast a red permanent spell, Defiler of Instinct deals 1 damage to any target. And the green one has trample, and for some ungodly reason, whenever you cast a green permanent spell, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Why is the green one so much better than all of these?
I think the thing that really bothers me about the green one is you're going to be not paying your green costs, and you've got this new red-green legend that lets you tap artifacts for green whenever you want.
Yep.
And you've got things like treasures running all over the place on top of the best ramp colors. You're going to vomit your hand and have 7, 8, 9, 10 permanents in 2 turns.
Well, that's the thing is when
huge.
when you read them, it specifically says permanents.
Yeah.
And of the 5 colors, what color is most likely to just be running out permanents?
I think it's white.
Yeah,
What?
definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not green.
Definitely not green.
Any case, I do like the cycle as like a concept. I wish they were more expensive across the board. I think if you increase all of these costs by 1 generic, I'm into it. I'm also into it if you increase all their costs not by mana value but by color pip.
Yeah.
So if you take it from 3 green to 2 green,
Yeah.
I'm probably into this.
Yeah.
I understand that splashing for 2 is hard. Splashing for 3 is impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially since it essentially negates any other splashing that you've done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Moving on, we've got Drag to the bottom. 2 black for a sorcery with Domain. Each creature gets -X/-X until end of turn, where X is 1 plus the number of basic land types among lands you control. This is interesting. It's better than the previous -X/-X Wrath that we had in like Standard, which was Languish, which was capped at -4/-4.
That's right.
This could be -6/-6 in a 5-color deck.
I also think one thing we're probably not going to have time to talk about today is that in the draft format, there are going to be common dual-typed tapped lands.
Yes.
And I think those are going to make a huge difference for the domain decks in the limited environment. I don't know whether or not we're going to be able to see them in Standard because triomes are already there.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if those rotate and then the tapped ones are...
not the new Capana triomes. At least.
No,
Yeah.
fair
So
enough.
yeah, we still have the triomes.
Next, we've got Evolved Sleeper. 1 black for a 1/1 creature, human. Pay a black, Evolved Sleeper becomes a human cleric with base power and toughness 2/2. 1 and a black, if Evolved Sleeper is a cleric, put a death touch counter on it, and it becomes a Phyrexian human cleric with base power and toughness 3/3. 1 and 2 black, if Evolved Sleeper is a Phyrexian, put a +1/+1 counter on it, then you draw a card and you lose 1 life. This is the, I guess, newest iteration on the Figure of Destiny style card with the level up ability. But notably, this is not level up.
Nope.
So once it is a Phyrexian, or if you play Maskwood Nexus and make it a Phyrexian, you
Not
can just
sponsored.
pay 1 black and draw a card, lose a life, as many times as you have 1 black to pay.
Honestly,
and put a counter on it. Make it bigger.
Yes, make it large.
I also like that it's a death touch counter rather than gains death touch.
Yes.
I'm actually kind of a huge fan of that for some of these more permanent things that they've been doing with that.
Yeah.
I don't foresee this one being as much of a house, even as like the snow version in blue that we got in Call Time,
Right.
or any of the other ones that we've seen recently. I think they've dialed in exactly where these fall, so they're interesting in limited and potentially fringe playable in Standard. And other than that, they're just guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no like timing restrictions on it.
Yeah.
So it's just it's you can end of turn or like, oh, I'm gonna block. Oh, now I've got death touch and I'm a 3/3.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
And then we've got Guardian of Nubenalia. 1 and a white for a 2/2 human soldier with set mechanic Enlist.
Bear with set mechanic.
Alex hates Enlist. It is, as this creature attacks, you may tap a non-attacking creature you control without summoning sickness. When you do, add its power to this creature's until end of turn. Guardian of Nubenalia specifically also says whenever Guardian of Nubenalia enlists a creature, scry 2, discard a card, gain indestructible until end of turn, tap it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My problem with Enlist basically comes down to they're trying to fix banding and no one needed that.
Yeah, who cares?
No, I shouldn't say that. I think it is a novel way
Sure.
to produce that effect. I think mechanically it makes sense. It's just not exciting for me. I don't want to be adding my other random creature to a creature that's likely going to cost me a card to attack with. The fact that it doesn't also add the toughness, it means that it's at best a sacrificial play to take out something else.
And you lose a blocker.
And you lose a blocker.
Yeah.
And you have to declare it before anybody blocks, before anybody does anything. It's got very low utility to me.
And it has to be a non-summoning sick creature, too.
Exactly. If you could do it with summoning sick creatures, I think I'd enjoy it. I think if it also gave toughness, I'd like it. And I think if it didn't have to be on attack, it would actually be a lot of fun to play with. Having on-board tricks like that, I think could make white and red much more dynamic to play in the combat step. It would be frustrating for opponents, but it's the type of thing that other colors get access to much more consistently.
Yeah.
So interesting question now on how how the words in the rules are worded. First revision: does haste remove summoning sickness, or does it still stay may attack as though it doesn't have summoning sickness?
See, that's the thing I also don't know.
Because that's the other thing. Because if this specifically says summoning sickness, so even your hasted creatures potentially can't enlist, although they
actually that makes
should be able to.
Yeah.
We'll have to check the release notes, but that sounds correct.
Weird.
Yeah.
In any case,
That's fun.
Moving on, we've got Haughty Djinn. 1 blue for a star, 4 creature Djinn with flying. Haughty Djinn's power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. I love this card. This is a strong card.
Yeah, this card's sweet.
You know, it's 1 mana more for that Goblin Electromancer effect, but it's probably like a 97 for. So, you know, maybe it kills somebody.
Yeah, and it also, if you're playing the new blue pseudo Phyrexian mana, it only costs you 1 mana and 4 life.
I believe those new ones you can only pay the mana once.
Is it?
You may pay 2 life.
Oh, look at that. Okay,
Just the one time.
All right.
Yeah.
Don't pay attention.
So they're not completely broken.
Yeah.
They're just mostly broken.
Just mostly
Yeah.
broken.
All right.
Moving on then, we've got Herd Migration, 6 and a green for a sorcery, with Domain. Create a 3/3 green beast creature token for each basic land type among lands you control, or 1 and a green, discard Herd Migration, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle, you gain 3 life.
I don't hate this.
Yeah, I think this is exactly the kind of card that a big, like, rampy style Domain deck wants. Because on the one end, it's fixing for your Domain, and, you know, you gain 3 life against those burn decks or whatever. And then on the top end, it's make 5 3/3s.
Hard to argue for make 5 3/3s.
Then we've got Keldon Flamesage. 2 and a red for a 2/3 human shaman with Enlist. Whenever Keldon Flamesage attacks, look at the top X cards of your library where X is Keldon Flamesage's power. You may exile an instant or sorcery card with mana value X or less from among them, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. I guess the Enlist is kind of stapled on there to make it 3, 4, 5 power.
Is that appealing to you, Jim?
For our like uses, no, because most things you're doing are at 2. It reminds me of Dreadhorde. Arcanist.
Yeah.
Except it's pulling off the top. But I guess being able to, it looks down. So like casting an instant or sorcery for 2 is great. However, do you have an instant or sorcery in your top 2? Is kind of the thing. So I guess really that's where the Enlist.
Because one of the things I've noticed is on a lot of these effects that, like, you know, you're constrained in what you're able to find.
Yeah.
Usually the okay ones start at 4 and the really good ones go to 7.
Yeah.
And so you got to sacrifice 5 damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're really saying here.
Yeah.
And it's on a 3 toughness body. So
Yeah. I don't know. I don't hate it, but also I'm not blown away by it.
How does Enlist work? Can I enlist as many creatures as I want?
a non-attacking
1.
creature.
Tap a non-attacking creature that does not have summoning sickness.
Enlist sucks.
Again, I'm not here to like poop on it, but
Yeah.
like I just
Not here to poop on it, but I'm here to be excited about this next card.
Oh boy.
Leaf, Crowned, Visionary. We've got green for a 1/1 creature, elf, druid. Other elves you control get +1/+1. But wait, there's more. Whenever you cast an elf spell, you may pay green. If you do, draw a card. Somebody at Wizards has a hard-on for elves, and I'm into it because so do I.
I mean, but like, how many times are you gonna cast elves in an elf deck?
Oh, that's a good
Mass
point.
Wood Nexus.
Where are you going to get a bunch of green mana in an elf deck?
Literally, as soon as I saw this card, the first thing I thought was, this is a mistake. The problem that I consistently run into in my elf deck is, I have 7 Gaia's Cradles, but no cards in my hand.
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah. I do like that it is specifically 1-for-1. You can't get ETBs to make it happen.
Yes.
I do like that they did that. What I don't like is the rest of it.
Why did it also have to be a lord?
That's exactly it. The fact that it's a 1-1 doesn't.
Why does it only cost 2?
The fact that it is a 1-1 doesn't mean anything in elves because it's going to enter the battlefield as a 4-4.
I'm gonna
it's
Craven
got other
of it.
words,
I'm
yeah.
gonna Azuri it 16
So
times.
that doesn't matter. There are certain tribes where having a 2-mana lord was something that's going to help that tribe. There are other tribes where having another 2-mana lord is just starting to get a little silly.
Yeah, I agree.
But this one draws you cards out.
That's the
It
little
doesn't
silly
even
part.
give you Forest Walk.
Yep.
Very excited for that card. Also pretty excited about this next one. Leyline Binding. 5 and a white for an enchantment. Hold on, stay with me. Flash. Domain. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each basic land type among lands you control. And then when it ETBs, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. In a 5-color deck with Domain fully online, this is a 1-mana flash Oblivion Ring.
Yeah.
That's bonkers.
And, okay, so here's the thing, because we're talking about Domain a lot, and we've said 5-color deck, Domain, 5-color deck. Just to put that in perspective, literally at this point, that's 2 triomes.
Yeah.
That's not even like turn 4 or 5. That is literally turn 3.
Turn 2.
Well, I think
three,
that speaks
They
to
enter
some,
taps.
I think that's
Turn
something,
three.
something we actually talked about in the new Capenna set review.
Yeah.
Is that they've really trivialized getting to 5-color, getting to Domain, getting that kind of mana online. So yeah, this is not nearly as bad as it reads on the tin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might say 6 mana do nothing enchantment, but it is not.
No, it's like a turn 2 flash O-ring type effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. I've seen some people on Twitter, and I should have written it down. I don't remember the other enchantment, but it's like the birthing pod style enchantment. It's like sack an enchantment, put a creature with mana value +1 from that enchantment into play. And people are doing shenanigans with this thing because it's, you play it for 1 and then you sack it as a 6 and get like an Agent of Treachery.
It's like Chimera of something. It's like a green blue
enigmatic
thing.
Chimera or something.
something
Maybe
like that.
I don't know.
Hey, Jim,
we'll look it up
yeah.
and we'll make Jim put it here.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Then we've got something I don't like. Llanowar Green Widow, 2 and a green for a 4/3 creature spider. Creature spider. Reach, trample. Domain, 7 and a green. Return Llanowar Green Widow from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. It gains if this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each basic land type among lands you control.
Yeah. Again, it's the perpetual thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan of that. Also, a 3-mana 4/3 with both reach and trample is both confusing and terrifying.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a spider, and it's gross, and I hate it. Sorry, Alan from Mental Misplay. I know you like spiders for some reason.
It's going to hang out with the wasp lady and her weird bug children.
Don't bring it up.
We got to have a whole separate set review just for horrifying things sometime.
Next up, we've got Llanowar, Loam Speaker, 1 and a green for a 1/3 elf druid. Taps to add a mana of any color, or taps to make target land you control a 3/3 elemental creature with haste until end of turn. Still a land, activate only as a sorcery.
That seems fine.
Yeah.
Neat. 2 mana Birds of Paradise, never bad.
I'd say standard doesn't seem to get Findhorn elves anymore.
Right,
or,
exactly. Llanowar elves,
Llanowar
and Horn
elves,
elves, any of those, yeah.
It's a
Probably not excited for this.
Elvish
in-
Mystic.
Sylvan Caryad without
Yeah, Sylvan
hexproof.
Caryad, yeah.
Yeah, I do enjoy the make a land instead because I think one of the problems that I always seem to have with dorks, especially in standard, is I have a dork and then I'm out of spells in hand and I don't know what to do with them. And this one says, but what if it was punches?
Right.
Yeah.
A similar kind of thing to the Visionary as well, right? Like this thing, it solves the problem elves often has where you have tons of mana, but you don't have something to do with it always. This turns one of your mana effectively into make this thing a 3/3.
Yeah, well, 2 of your mana.
2 of your mana even.
Efficient.
Yeah. Then we've got Plaza of Heroes. This one's causing some controversy in the Twitter sphere as well. It is a land. It taps to add a colorless. It taps to add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a legendary spell. Or it taps to add 1 mana of any color among legendary permanents you control. Or it has you pay 3, tap, exile Plaza of Heroes. Target legendary creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn.
I have seen a lot of people say that this is an auto-include in every single commander deck that you'll ever play.
I think that's a bit of an oversight.
I think that's way over the line. I could see this in 3 color decks. I could see this in higher color decks. I could see this in decks that care deeply about the last ability there, the hexproof and indestructible. I do
Or
not...
legendaries, specifically.
Legendary Tribal too, sure. I just don't think it's the next Arcane Signet, which...
Right. Certainly not. I think comparing this thing to City of Brass, Mana of Confluence, is foolish.
Yeah, no, it's
to be honest.
Yeah.
It's very cool though. I like it a lot.
I think it's flavorful to the point where you have what essentially starts as a moderately useless land that gets better as you cast your commander and cast other things that hang out with your commander and then protects your commander.
Yeah.
That's a nice build up. It is a good card. Just don't worry about paying $50 for it, I don't think, because I don't think it's going to be that popular.
Yeah, kind of like you're saying. Wow. I can definitely see it in, 3-color decks, especially on the more budget, hopefully, side of things, like being able to tap for red or white or black or whatever in your Mardu deck. Very good.
Yep.
In decks that care a lot about, I guess, either just a specific legendary creature or specifically your commander, like as part of your strategy, having the ability to protect it on a land, maybe, useful. A deck that is, again, relying on its commander being in play a lot of the time, maybe gets to count this as a color producing land. But yeah, I think niche at best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Niche plus.
Niche plus.
As we're talking about it, I'm going through my head and I was like, okay, what would a commander deck look like that is literally just all legendary, so that this is a functional land at all times? And like,
it's okay.
It's okay. You get to play like Karn's Temporal Sundering as a spell, and like there's a couple of legendary spells, and like
take an extra turn, baby.
But you don't get to play any of the efficient mana rocks or anything like that. So you're kind of in this weird.
Yeah, very weird card.
Yeah.
It's Bear Watch.
It's Bear Watch. Bear Watch. We've got Quirion Beastcaller, a 1 and a green for a 2/2.
Hey.
We call that a bear.
Yeah.
Creature, a Dryad Warrior. Whenever you cast a creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Quirion Beastcaller. When it dies, distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control, where X is the number of counters on this card.
What happened to bears?
What happened to bears?
Are you looking at the card, Alex? There's one in the art.
Yeah, I can see it right there.
It's sneaking up on.
That's great.
This card is...
That's primo.
Yeah, strong in creature deck.
Strong in any deck that's not spell focused.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing to the board, you want this.
Yeah.
It's like Champion of Lambholt on steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then we've got Raddas Firebrand, 1 and a red for a 3/1 creature human warrior. Whenever Raddas Firebrand attacks, target creature defending player controls with power less than Raddas Firebrand's power can't block this turn. And it's got Domain for 5 and a red. Gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Costs 1 less to activate for each basic land type among lands you control. Activate only once each turn.
Oh, you had me so excited.
I know.
So disappointed. I guess Domain is as easy to activate as we think it is if they've stapled that on there.
Yeah.
You can like
I
pump
guess
that and enlist it, and you're just like set mechanics, go.
I think the creature has to have enlist in order to be enlisted.
Does it?
Yeah.
That's also a like knock against it.
No. Like if the enlist creature could enlist someone else, that would.
That's what I assumed was.
No, I think it is only the creature itself.
It's inbound.
It's crew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sag.
Yeah.
Yep. Not exciting. Potentially a little more exciting. We've got Ragefire Hellkite for all you dragon fans out there. 4 red for a 5/3 dragon with flying. Whenever it attacks, you may sack another creature. If you do, this one gets double strike until end of turn.
Where did we put all those Kobolds of Care Keep a minute ago?
In Ragefire Hellkite's mouth.
Yeah, that's right. Gosh, I like that.
That's sweet. I think that's like for a 5/3, that's pretty good.
Dragon is as dragon does.
I like curve toppers that say, but what if I had more value?
Yeah, definitely. Adding to the list of 2-mana lords that didn't need to exist but do now, Rundvelt Hordemaster, 1 and a red for a 1/1 Goblin Warrior. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. Whenever this card or another goblin you control dies, exile the top card of your library. If it's a goblin, you may cast that. Goblin creature card. You may cast that card until the end of your next turn.
It's super good.
Really good. I saw somebody on Twitter. I'm not sure who it is again. We should prepare more for these things. Blah blah blah. Literally just threw 4 of this into a Legacy Goblins list and said he went 5-0 against his friends with it.
I don't doubt it. Yeah.
Yeah, have you guys read Skirk Prospector?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think if you're running Snoop lines, this is actually maybe the sickest
nasty.
thing.
Yeah.
Sure. It also just has the notable quality of also being entirely too big. Pumping that many other goblins for 2 mana.
Yeah. And it has the elf problem as well, right? Where this thing's not a 1/1. This is coming into play as like a 2/2 with haste or a 3/3 with haste.
And Mountain Walk.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think goblins are nearly as far along as elves are.
Sure.
In terms of oh my gosh, why are we doing tribes? On the other hand, I think you probably could have sold me on a berserker or a warrior lord here for just no money. Way you could have sold me on that, no problem.
Yeah, fair enough. Next, for the Angel fans, we've got a couple. We've got Sarah Paragon up first. 2 white for a 3/4 Angel, flying. Once during each of your turns, you may play a land from your graveyard or cast a permanent spell with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. If you do, it gains when this permanent is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, exile it, and you gain 2 life. There's that annoying, persistent thing that Alex was mentioning. They're kind of tacking on to paper cards now. That is kind of annoying. I really like this card, though. Once a turn, Sun Titan is what this card says to me.
But it says cast, right?
Sure.
Yes.
So you do have to pay for it.
So that's the part of the reason why, especially on this one, I don't know why it has this text.
Right.
I do not think this is powerful enough to merit needing to exile it. Because you're in white, and don't get me wrong, I understand you play this in a different deck as well. But limiting it to mana value 3 or less is no worse than something like Maren of Clan Neltoth.
Sure.
In fact, Marin's way worse.
Yeah.
And so the fact that I've got to pay mana for it, the fact that it's 3 or less, the fact that
it exiles.
The exile part.
It's stacking up.
I think they really put the binders on this one, and I think they could have just left the entire last sentence out.
Yeah.
But you gain 2 life, Alex.
Oh boy.
That's the white mechanic.
Then we've also got Sarah Redeemer. 3 white for a 2/4. Is that how that's supposed to work?
Yeah, sure.
Angel Soldier, flying. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, put 2 +1/+1 counters on that creature.
Yeah, that's real good.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
That dog will hunt.
Yeah.
The thing about that dog that doesn't hunt, though, is that I wonder if we're going to see a lot more creatures with 2 power or less be as viable with something like this around. I think this is the type of thing that warps how they play things like Future League, because they're constantly needing to watch out for things like put 3/1/1s onto the battlefield, because this in Captain's Call all of a sudden looks dirt nasty.
Yeah, it doesn't say non-token.
Yeah.
That becomes 9 power real quick.
And so don't get me wrong, I don't think that's over the top, but I think there are situations, as long as this isn't standard, where they need to watch out for stuff like that.
For sure. Then in a turn of events that nobody was expecting, I imagine, we've got a Cleric Lord, Shadowrite Priest, 1 and a black for a 2/2 human cleric. Other clerics you control get +1/+1. 3 black, tap, sacrifice another cleric, search your library for a black creature card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle.
I love this. This is how the Lord should be.
Yes.
Give me it for a color or a tribe that is underrepresented, because clerics have been around for a long time. Cleric tribal's been around for a long time, but I can't think of a black cleric lord.
No.
And I also like the nod to Shadowborn Apostles here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about this card. This finds Razaketh. It finds Runescarred Demon. It finds the other guy. What's the
Kothafit. I don't know. Any
the big pay life one? I don't know. Pay life draw card.
Grizzlebrand?
We can't. Well,
No.
Yeah.
Lose life draw cards.
Nah, yeah, I get you.
Vilis.
Vilis.
Broker of blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I think
this card.
that I like this a lot over zombies. I think I
Yes.
like this a lot over a lot of the other black creature types that they could have chosen.
What's the other one? Horror.
Horror,
Is the other one?
yeah. I also think that this is the type of effect that I've been seeing a lot more on black clerics recently, because they had a black cleric in standard a while back that if it was sacrificed or brought back from the graveyard, it became a 5/5 flying demon instead.
Right.
And so I just like little pieces like that do those sort of step-by-step interactions that feel very flavorful, and I think this is super flavorful.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Then we've got a big old Dragon Hydra, Shivan Devastator, X and a red for a 0/0. Dragon Hydra, Flying Haste, enters the battlefield with X, +1/+1 counters on it. What if that fireball had legs, Alex?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It's great.
Moving on.
I just want to say, I think this is fantastic
yeah.
design. It's super flavorful. I'm glad it's mythic.
This is peak Magic to me. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
It's a Dragon Hydra.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having to be the guy that has to go clean that up?
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm all the way out.
Yeah.
You play a lot of Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
and
I'm
you're all
not
the way-
built for that.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got an Ape Silverback Elder 2 green Ape Shaman 5/7 for some ungodly reason. Whenever you cast a creature spell, choose one for some ungodly reason. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, or you gain 4 life.
It's a 5/7 because it's perfect.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
I hate this card.
This card
Not
is
for any fault of its own, but for the fact that green just keeps doing this. And I don't know why.
The cast a creature spell is not a cost.
Yeah.
No.
It's not. It's
Well,
not a
if you're in
cost.
green. Here's the thing, if you're playing like red or blue, maybe.
Sure.
It's
You want to give me a blue thing
detriment,
that
yeah.
says when you cast a creature spell, do a thing? That might be a cost. Almost may be a cost. It's just not.
I think the interesting juxtaposition here is we were just talking about how great the Dragon Hydra Shivan Devastator at Mythic was.
Yeah.
And then this is another Mythic, which puts all other Mythics in this set to Mythic shame.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Aura
it's just...
shards.
Yeah.
At minimum, it's a 5 mana 5/7 with Aura Shards stapled
Yeah.
to it.
It just says.
And then it gives you the option when you're done Aura Shardsing everything.
You want to gain some life?
you want to ramp?
Yeah.
You wanna
You're out
think
of lands in your deck. You're out of things to Aura Shard. Just gain 4 life.
Are we sounding like old bitter
no.
men?
No,
Yes.
absolutely.
I'm really not trying to be bitter here. I get why it exists. I understand why the design's there. If you take out the destroy, enchantment, or artifacts, I'm probably super on board for it. You know what I actually would think would be great there? Give target creature +3/+3. Make it wild growth instead. You do that, I'm 1,000% on board.
Yeah.
It's just it answers while also advancing your board state.
Yeah.
And sorry.
Yeah. Moving on to something that is not so frustrating. Silver Scrutiny. X blue for a sorcery. You may cast Silver Scrutiny as though it had flash if X is 3 or less. Draw X cards.
Yeah.
Perfectly fair, I think. It's
Yeah.
just another Blue Sun Zenith,
Yeah.
Epiphany, whatever type effect, you know?
I think when we-
Green geyser.
I think when we talk about like drawing card spells, we had that other draw card spell that was equal to instants
Yeah.
of sorceries in yard.
Right.
I think this is a really good example of how to set something like that up for later.
Very good point.
Yeah, it's a 5 mana draw 3 at instant speed or 6+ to draw 4 or more. It reminds me a little bit of Pull from Tomorrow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I think deep down I like Pull from Tomorrow more.
Yeah.
Just because it's always an instant, and the more you sink into it, the easier it is to offset the cost of discard a card.
Yeah.
But I still think it's a cool card.
Yeah.
I'd probably play it.
This one's cool.
in most situations where I can't play Pull from Tomorrow.
Or play both.
Or play
Volcano
both.
Listos.
Yeah, exactly. Draw one from the other.
Rules. Yeah. Anyway.
Then we've got another Mythic. This is the blue one. Sphinx of Clear Sky is 3 blue for a 5/5 Sphinx. Flying Ward 2. Domain. Whenever Sphinx deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put one pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. The only thing I'm sad about this for is it can't really go in your Sphinx tribal deck because you are drawing a card showing everybody it and putting it into your hand. And that is pretty unimpressive. But when this is fact or fiction...
Yeah.
I would also point out that even just on one, it just says draw the top card of your deck.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's maybe even like, because there's no decision at that point. It's do I take the card or I don't?
Yeah. I guess, you get to decide whether or not you want to put it in your graveyard.
So I don't think it's amazing, but it's also got word 2 on a 5/5 body.
And flying.
Yeah, it's just a
So,
big
it's like-
flying
it's-
Spanx.
Yeah.
Cool. Next up, this is a really interesting one, I think. Stronghold Arena, 1 and a black enchantment, kicker, green, and or white. When it ETBs, gain 3 life for each time it was kicked. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you may reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. If you do, you lose life equal to its mana value.
That's pretty sweet, yeah.
Bob stapled to gain 6 life if you want to bob more bobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I am glad about is that they don't have it when it is whenever a creature you control
Right, it is 1 or more.
Since it's so that way you only get 1 per combat, so you're not like, result.
1 per player.
1 per player, yeah.
So if you
could
attack
do
3
3.
opponents,
Yeah, okay.
but
Yeah, my bad.
it's got the Timna clause.
I don't like that. I would have rather this be just one and done.
Sure.
I guess I don't hate it for multiplayer. Just I do like that it's a different take on both. What's the one that deals you 1 damage and you draw a card on upkeep? Phyrexian Arena.
Yeah, for
Yeah, and Stronghold, and Bob.
Bob, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, not Stronghold.
Yeah, Stronghold.
Yeah, just Stronghold.
Fair enough.
Play the Stronghold.
Yeah, I think that card's a neat little card.
I think we have to do a little bit of a small shout out here.
Yeah,
the
we just
Sulphurous
passed
Springs.
Sulphurous Springs. We just gotta, we'll have Jim put it up again, do more work.
We'll put
Jim.
both up.
This is
just so you can
it's
see
just
the-
the new art is just a shout out to that wrinkly old devil that burned
Chilling
to
out in a hot
death
tub.
in the Sulphurous Spring. Very
Yeah.
cool. Temporal Firestorm is up next then. 3 red for a sorcery, kicker, 1 in a white and or 1 in a blue. Choose up to X creatures and or planeswalkers you control, where X is the number of times this spell was kicked. Those permanents phase out. Temporal Firestorm deals 5 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Really cool art on this one again. Shout out to Teferi and Jaya teaming up. Interesting. At its base, it's 3 red for an effect we've seen before. Deal 5 damage to each creature. But then it's got that weird
phasing.
Save up to 2 of your things, I guess.
Like for 7?
Right?
It's kind of a...
Or
for 7 or
9.
9? Weird.
I like that it exists. I don't know what deck is playing it.
Right.
It's something that I am sure will eventually be cast against me, and I will go, oh my god, it's Temporal Firestorm. But until that day, I don't know that I'm going to think about this card again. It's definitely got a lot of nice design in it. I like that they're being more bold with using phasing out to save stuff. I really appreciate that. It's good design space. It's just this is too expensive to see the full utility, I think, outside of a very, very narrow set of circumstances.
Yeah, I think they could have chopped the 1 off of each of those kicker costs.
I agree.
I think,
Or make it an instant.
sure. Yeah, 9 mana
9
to
mana
instant speed do
to
this.
like instant
yeah.
wrath. Safety
That would
things.
also-
Yeah,
I
I
would
think
also-
either. Yeah, I think either of those options.
Yeah, if it was kicked, it can be cast at sorcery speed, and then you can do the rest of it. Yeah, or instant speed.
Yeah.
Then we've got a card that I like a little more.
Yeah.
Temporary Lockdown. 1 white for an enchantment. When it ETBs, exile each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less until it leaves the battlefield. Much like the other one was 1 mana flash Oblivion Ring. This is 3 mana Oblivion Ring, everything 2 or less.
Yeah, this is especially good against all the token strategies we're seeing. This is especially good against fast mana. It's especially good against red decks in standard. I don't expect to see a whole lot of red decks in standard, or red deck wins style decks in standard with this in the meta.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, white isn't nothing, but oh my god, is that just a backbreaker.
Backbreaking for sure.
Yeah.
Another thing I'll point out, because I like to mention art things, the widescreen alt art of this, and I was trying to see if it was on any other cards, and if it is, let me know in the comments. It actually looks like it has 3 Phyrexian fingers coming up from the corner. And I didn't see that on any other card, and I'm
Interesting.
not sure why it's this one specifically.
Like
Probably because of
a picture or something.
well, no, like we'll look at it later, but like it's kind of it's really crazy because I was like, that stands out. I thought it might have been part of like the somebody cropped it from a thing, but like it's all official WotC art.
So instead of TMZ, it's 30 Phyrexian zone.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got a couple of sagas in a row here. We've got, starting off with the Cruelty of Gixx. 3 black for an enchantment saga. New to this set, we've got Read Ahead, which says, it doesn't matter what it says. What it does is it lets you choose the chapter that you start on. It says that it works all complicated, but that's just how it works. It's fine. Chapter 1 for this one is target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a creature or planeswalker card from it. That player discards that card. Chapter 2 is search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle. You lose 3 life. And Chapter 3 is put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control.
This reminds me a little bit of the Elspeth saga from Theros Beyond Death.
Yeah, very
Which is
similar.
like a powerhouse
reanimate on
in
the
standard.
end.
Yeah.
The fact that you can pay 5 mana to start this thing as a Grim Tutor and then it reanimates something on the end, I think is bonkers.
Yeah, that's
like
pretty good.
Maybe you're in a controlling position, you get to take your time and do all 3, but I think even just doing those 2, like one after the other, is pretty good.
Yeah, I think my opinion in general on Read Ahead is that it is giving options that are more paralyzing than they are useful. I think people are going to spend a lot of time agonizing over
Where to start?
to start on Read Ahead.
Or feeling like they're losing value if they don't
Yes.
just play it on one.
Yeah, and so
Yeah, no, it feels like the Read Ahead is just their attempt to turn these into basically modal spells.
yeah.
Yeah,
Where
it's
it's
just
like-
it's a kicker for sagas, right?
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, if you
I'll
want to look at
sacrifice
it.
these 2 chapters to start on turn 3.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a bad thing. I am worried about how people are going to play with it, but we'll know that more in 3 months. The thing I do like about it quite a bit is things like on a few of the other ones we see coming up where they've combined a few of the chapters together to do the same thing.
Yes.
Fair enough. Next up, we've got The Elder Dragon War, 2 red for an enchantment saga with Read Ahead. Chapter 1, The Elder Dragon War deals 2 damage to each creature and each opponent. Chapter 2, discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards. Chapter 3, make a 4/4 dragon creature token with flying.
Yeah.
I love Pyroclasm. I love Wheel of Fortune.
Yep.
This is those stapled together.
Yep.
And also, what about a dragon?
Yeah.
Who made that? Who decided this?
I think this is just fine.
I think it's a good one. I'd play
I think this
one.
is one where you are probably not reading ahead very often.
I don't think
I think
so.
you're probably playing this mostly for Chapter 1.
Yeah. Pyroclasm for 4 and then a bunch of other utility is just great.
Yeah. Then we've got The Phasing of Zelf, 2 blue for an enchantment saga with Read Ahead. Chapters 1 and 2 are both. Another target non-land permanent phases out. It can't phase in for as long as you control the Phasing of Zelf. And Chapter 3 is destroy all creatures. For each creature destroyed this way, its controller creates a 2/2 black Phyrexian creature token. Read Ahead makes this a 4-mana blue Wrath.
Yeah.
But it
it's more
replaces
like
them.
Curse of the Phyrexian. Or Curse of the Swine.
Curse of
Yeah.
the Swine Rexians.
Sure.
It replaces them, which is so strange.
I think if it didn't, this would be
Right,
the
it'd be
clearest example of a color play break ever.
Yeah.
I think it's still fine as it is. I do like that the Phasing of Zelf allows you to make it only one thing if you've only got one thing you really want to save.
Yeah.
At-
You can
Right.
save up to
You
2
can
of
skip
your
to chapter 2,
permanents.
yeah.
And,
Right.
and kinda, I think that's.
And so it also doesn't give opponents much time to figure things out. And if you've been blown out, it just says, okay, fine, we're all blown out.
Yeah.
So that's nice. I don't want to see too many more blue destroy all everythings, regardless of what happens after them.
I do.
Fair.
That's because I think you're slightly biased there, Jan Regard.
Un petite.
Yeah.
Then we've got The World Spell, 5 green, enchantment, saga, Read Ahead. Chapters 1 and 2 are both. Have a look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-saga permanent card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Chapter 3 is put up to 2 non-saga permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know how often I'm not reading ahead straight to 3-on-7 here.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, you are so far ahead if you're playing this and like doing both chapter 1 and 2. You've got to be pretty ahead if you're even just doing chapter 2. I think this is mostly just, hey, look, Avenger, Craterhoof.
Yeah.
Kiki, Conscripts.
I mean, I think in a world where it's like we circle back to the whole elf problem where you're like tons of resources, no more cards in hand. If you top deck this, then you got the mana, put it out,
Yeah.
kind of go from there.
Sure, it does help if you're like hellbent, but
Yeah.
even
This is a hell of a top deck.
that's a hell of a top deck.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is fine.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's mythic.
Yeah.
Alex doesn't like green cards very much.
I'd love green cards. The problem is green cards aren't very green sometimes.
Next up, we've got a gate.
Oh,
Thran Portal Land Gate. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. So it's like the Mirrodin
Fast lands.
duels,
Fast lands,
fast
yeah.
lands. As Thran Portal enters the battlefield, choose a basic land type. Thran Portal is the chosen type in addition to its other types. Mana abilities of Thran Portal cost an additional 1 life to activate. Thrana Confluence?
yeah. I was on board with this until that last line.
Yeah, so they worded it correctly.
Yes.
As opposed to Mana
City
Confluence
Brass,
or
yeah.
City of Brass, right? Where this isn't linked to that ability. So if you have like an Urborg or whatever in play, it still costs you the 1 life to activate. This one is the fact that it's choose 1 color is weird to me as well. Or I guess like on the lower end of the power level, I guess.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the most brilliant designs in this set.
You would.
I can tell you why.
It's the end of the.
So, what it does is it enables domain for keeps that are risky because it doesn't say pick a color.
And it becomes
It becomes the chosen type.
Okay, I'm back on board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm back on board.
It is better in your opening hand than any other hand.
Yeah.
It doesn't let you always use it all the time for free because if it did, holy buckets, I almost guarantee you that last ability got put on during testing.
Yeah, it was probably too
Probably,
strong
yeah.
without it. Yeah.
Exactly, which should tell you that this is probably still very good.
Yeah.
Especially in competitive.
Yeah.
This is probably going to be something that you see 2 to 3 of in a lot of decks that are trying to get domain online. If domain is a competitive
Right.
build.
Yeah.
I also
Okay,
just think
you
it's
changed my mind completely about this thing. I like this thing now.
yeah, it's one of those situations where I don't know for a fact that it's going to be good, but it has all the trappings of being good.
There's another gate for your Maze's End deck.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
a lot.
yep.
I think Cal from Playing with Power said that about this card. Like, I love that they're just slapping gate on things. Love
that makes sense for it to be gates. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Looks like a gate to me.
I love the subtypes. I want that, like we talked about deserts earlier. I want to play more around with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Now we've got, in addition to ladies reclining to the right, tribal, threats undetected, 2 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 4 creature cards with different powers and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of those cards, shuffle the chosen cards into your library, put the rest into your hand. There are a number of reasons I like this a lot less than Gifts Ungiven,
Ungiven.
Realms Uncharted.
Yeah.
It's a sorcery. Boo. B, it shuffles the chosen ones back in instead of putting them in your graveyard. So
which is great.
Yes.
no,
It's great.
I want to break things.
That is how these cards should have been printed.
No.
in design. That's the intention.
Yeah.
Where you're not just like,
Boo.
these are 4 bad options.
I say,
Boo you.
if you want to go back to a time before the graveyard was just another resource, then yeah, I'm on board. But
Yeah.
you, me, and everyone else watching this knows that if it went to graveyard, all you're going to be doing is just slapping them back into play next turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just intuition number 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, is Gifts Ungiven banned?
Crazy. Anyway, I think this is fine. The different powers is kind of cheesy, frankly.
Yeah,
It's feels like an arbitrary decider.
Yeah. I think the thing that I dislike about it most is that it is, I feel it is overly balanced. It's too fair for me, you know? I just don't see anybody playing this card.
I think it is probably something that's extremely cute in a deck that wants to get a couple of very specific things but doesn't care about which of those specific things it gets.
Yeah.
So maybe
Fair
not.
enough. Next, we've got Tyrannical Pit Lord for black, almost said red, for a 6/6 creature demon with flying and trample. That's flample for you at home. As Tyrannical Pit Lord enters the battlefield, choose another creature you control. The chosen creature gets +3/+3 and has flying. When Tyrannical Pit Lord leaves the battlefield, sacrifice to the chosen creature.
Yes,
So
fine.
I like this. Design's cool. Think it's cool. I hope, because we're getting a Lord of the Rings set, that the Balrog has this kind of ability tagged to it, right? Where it takes Gandalf with them or whatever. Spoilers for the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, if you've never seen or read The Lord of the Rings.
That last line, I like that line on a demon.
I really appreciate this because it feels like a contract, in a really visceral way.
Yeah, very flavorful.
Very warlock and patron. I do like that quite a bit. Also, flying Dreadmaw with sign me up.
Yeah. The fact that this thing on its own is a 6-mana 6/6 flample, and it gives the other creature +3/+3 and flying. Wow.
It does just scream 2-for-1 me harder, but but on the other hand, it also screams 2-for-1 me or you die. So I think that's a bet I'm willing to take most of the time. So we'll see.
Fair enough. Urborg Hans, run! It's the Urborg Lurgoyf. I've been saving that one since this card was spoiled.
Good.
Yeah.
Urborg Lurgoyf, 1 and a green for a star/1+star. I hate that. Creature Lurgoyf with kicker blue and or black. As it enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards for each time it was kicked. Power is equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. I love this card.
Yep.
I have a Mimeoplasm commander deck that this is immediately going in because it's got the body that it needs to turn Mimeoplasm into a giant creature, but it's also got 2 blue-black mill 6 stapled onto it to get creatures into my graveyard that are also this card to fuel the Mimeoplasm, etc.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, definitely not super powerful.
No.
Again, it will go in my niche little Mimeoplasm deck.
On the other hand, it is uncapped, unlike Tarmogoyf.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it is just equal to creature cards. Yeah.
So, I don't know who wants this.
Me, I just said.
I know.
In my silly little Mimeoplasm deck.
I think it's a little more narrow even than that. It's definitely good. I can see it being useful. I think it would be much more useful if it was creature cards in graveyards. Yeah, it's
absolutely.
1 green, for example.
Like Consuming Aberration, that style is definitely more powerful. And also in my Mimeoplasm deck. That's I guess the reason to derail us a little bit, I'll try to be quick. The reason I like it so much is because it's got the mill 3 or 6 stapled to it.
Okay.
The direction that I took the Mimeoplasm deck really quickly when I initially built it was into the kind of incidental mill into, what creature am I creating today?
Got it.
As opposed to, buried alive, necrotic ooze this thing, Mimeoplasm kill you.
Yeah, gotcha.
Or whatever, right? So that's why I really like this.
Okay.
If I mill it off of something else, it's a star.
Gotcha.
If it is what I drew, it's 4 mana mill 6 cards, which is actually a pretty good rate.
Yeah, I could see that now.
Yeah. Now that I'm done defending myself, let's round out the saga cycle. Cycle? Yeah.
Yeah.
Urza assembles the Titans. 3 white for an enchantment saga read ahead. Chapter 1 is Scry 4, then you may reveal the top card of your library. If a Planeswalker card is revealed this way, put it into your hand. Chapter 2 is you may put a Planeswalker card with mana value 6 or less from your hand onto the battlefield. And Chapter 3 is the Chain Veil. You may activate the loyalty abilities of Planeswalkers you control twice this turn rather than only once. Neat.
I like this card. I don't know. I like Planeswalkers in general. 6 is a lot of them.
Yeah.
Like almost all of them. I think there's
basically just not Karn and not
Karn,
not Karn, not Ugin. I think there's maybe
we don't need an exhaustive list, but it's almost all of them.
Almost all of them.
Which is sweet.
Yeah.
Like 5 color Super Friends. The problem is now making a Super Friends deck is significantly harder than it was many, many years ago because I was just casually looking. I think there's like 240 Planeswalker cards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and a lot of the cards that they're printing, well, even like we saw it, Temporal Firestorm, they're just tacking and each Planeswalker onto the like Wraths and whatever, right? So I think, honestly, I do think because Super Friends was kind of the boogeyman almost of Commander for a little bit.
Well, not just of Commander, it also kind of beat the crud out of Standard. And
Sure,
Yes.
there was that. Yeah, like
the three fairy and the 5 fairy along.
Yeah.
With,
Yes,
Oh, I
the
do
Teferi's
love
really
killing
bad,
Teferis.
right.
Even before that, like I seen like old school Esper where you're just like Jaces, Lilianas, and you're like, I don't even know how you win through this.
Yeah.
But carrying on.
Yeah, I think I see some world in which there's like something you do with playing this for 5 mana, reading ahead to 3, and comboing some way, and maybe I'll put it in that kind of deck. Otherwise, this isn't really for me.
If I built Planeswalkers for EDH, I'd play this.
Yeah. Now we've got the Soldier Lord. Valiant Veteran, 1 and a white for a 2/2 core soldier. Other soldiers you control get +1/+1. 3 white, exile him from your graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on each soldier you control. The Elf Lord, this is not.
No,
It's a 2/2.
as a player who plays a lot of white, I think this is about as good as we could expect. I think this is fine. Another instance of, strangely, in my opinion, another instance of we could probably have had this be a different tribe and it would have been better overall.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want soldiers. I don't
Spirits.
even know. I actually probably spirits, maybe dogs. I could have seen if this was a more dog focused set.
Cats.
Yeah. Just
Birds.
yeah, actually. Yeah.
Bird wizards.
Yeah, no, there's definitely different stuff that I could have seen in here, but soldiers is fine because ultimately, part of the problem with soldiers is either you get wrathed or you win the game.
Yeah. I do like that this kind of helps you build back after a wrath kind of a thing, because its ability exiles it while it's in the graveyard.
Yeah.
But I think it should have been like X white exile it, make X/1/1 white soldier creature tokens.
That you could sell me on in a heartbeat.
right?
Yeah.
Like I think this specific secondary ability is pretty underwhelming.
It's one of those things like I don't know when you're casting it when it's not win more. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I don't see you activating that and only putting 2 counters on 2 guys.
Right.
No.
Absolutely.
So
Next, we've got Orvar the Vesuvan Duplimancy. 3 blue for an enchantment that reads, whenever you cast a spell that targets only a single artifact or creature you control, create a token. That's a copy of that artifact or creature, except it's not legendary. The joke there is that this is what Orvar, the all form, does as well.
oh, thank you for
I
explaining
think
the
for the
joke.
same mana value too.
Oh, kooky, crazy.
Yeah.
Skeletons.
At first, when I saw this, I kind of freaked out about it being Orvar number 2. I was like, oh, it's crazy. Orvar's the best deck now. Nah, it's probably not.
Modest.
It's cool.
I think
It's fun.
I think this is neat and interesting. I think if Krark could stomach another 4 mana thing, that Krark would have fun with this. But I don't know.
I just want to flip coins.
Yeah, I think it's another neat enchantment.
And now, rounding out our Lord cycle, we've got perhaps the most busted one. And yes, we have already read the Elf one. Here's the Merfolk one. Vodalian Hexcatcher, 1 and a blue for a 1/1 Merfolk Wizard. Flash. Other Merfolk you control get +1/+1. Sacrifice a Merfolk, counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1.
How is this not far and away the best of the lords? It is. There's no argument. Sorry.
Did you
Just
guys
stop? Not you,
Yeah.
but like in the comments, stop talking. This is the best lord, hands down.
This one's nuts.
Did you guys hear, like, just in town, that silent, echoing scream of pure joy?
Yeah.
From Nikachu's house.
Yeah.
Because I heard it.
Yeah, it hasn't stopped since this card got spoiled.
Like, it's absurd. You can continue to stack force spikes as long as you want, one at a time, until they say, okay, fine, it's force spiked.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. If the other lords had like vigilance or trample or any other thing, there's no reason to tack flash on this.
Yeah.
This isn't like they're like, oh, it should have been flying, but we gave it flash. None of the other lords have
they have
extra
the other 2
ability.
lines.
So here's the thing. I'm sure this is actually probably just fine in standard. There's not a ton of stupidly good merfolk. But I think this probably resurrects modern merfolk into not necessarily top tier. I haven't been keeping up with the metagame enough to be like confident in that
Right,
assertion.
but Nikachu will kill people with this thing.
Yeah.
He already killed people with regular merfolk, and now it's juiced.
And now they give you this.
It's so juiced.
Yeah.
And it's just another example of a 1/1 that's never a 1/1.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
Also great in multiples. If you get more than 2 of these in your pool, just play merfolk. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy card. I think the elf one could have been a little better to
Stop.
And rounding us out here, last card of the day, we've got another Vodalian card. I don't know what that word means, but I keep saying it.
I think it's a place.
Oh, Vodalia? Probably.
Yeah. It's off the Yavimaya coast.
It's actually where the onions come from.
That's the end of the spike feeders, folks. Okay, seriously though, we've got Vodalian Mind Singer. I almost said Slinger. 1 blue for a Merfolk Wizard. 2/2 with Kicker. 1 in a red and or 1 in a green. When it ETBs with 2 +1/+1 counters on it for each time it was kicked. So potentially a 7 mana 6/6. When it ETBs, gain control of target creature with power less than Vodalian Mindsinger's power for as long as you control Vodalian Mindsinger. So it's a scalable Threads of Dissonancy,
Yeah.
right? It starts as just Threads,
3
3
mana,
mana,
takes
2/2,
a 1/1. Yeah.
5 mana, 4/4, 7 mana, steal a 6/6
Yeah.
or less.
It's also a merfolk.
Less than,
Yeah.
sorry. So it is a Merfolk.
So you can play-
it's just actually already a 9/9 because of all the lords. You're right.
Yeah.
No, I don't think this is a house by any means, but it's an interesting effect to have in standard. The fact that it's teamer colors, I think doesn't necessarily play well with most other teamer strategies I see.
Right.
I could see this
Well,
being...
I actually would disagree with that. Teamer does a lot of the steely things.
Does it? Yeah,
Like Yasova, Dragonclaw.
I forgot about Yasova. Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
never mind. This actually probably fits in the Yasova Dragonclaw
I
deck.
would put it right there. Yeah.
It makes it very weird trying to put it into like a Merfolk EDH deck. Because
Right.
you're basically like locked into some weird
The
teamer
red.
shell.
Is there
Right,
any
yeah.
teamer?
There's some
There's some green ones for sure, but I don't know
but I
about
don't think
red.
there's a teamer one. So yeah.
I think this
might
might be
be
the
old ones,
This
yeah.
might be one of the only merfolk with any red in its color identity.
Yeah,
So
it's definitely interesting, like you said, for like standard or again potentially as like a sideboard card in even modern Merfolk. I think at some point they were splashing green, so it's maybe not a huge stretch for them to potentially also splash red. Or, like we were saying with the Lords, you have a Lord of Atlantis and a Vodalian Hexcatcher
Yeah.
in play. You just play this for 3 and it steals a 3/3 anyway.
Yeah. It's
And
less
it's got
than.
4 power.
Less than.
It's
Yeah.
a 4/4 though. 'Cause
Oh,
it's,
right,
it's a
right,
2/2
right.
and then it's got the Lord.
Yeah, I said
That's-
2 Lord names on purpose.
My bad.
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah, no, that's actually pretty sick. Honestly, I just think the set's really well put together.
Yeah.
As much as I've been like harping on a few of the green choices and like I don't like Enlist very much, I actually think they've kind of killed it with this set. Especially the legendaries are
Yes.
really, really well crafted. We've got a lot of support for under-supported things going on. We got a spoiler card.
We got a spoiler card for some.
I mean, I
we're-
feel sorry. You
No,
know,
absolutely.
we've been kind of, I think, riding a high lately. Like Magic sets have been just hitting. You know, like Neon Dynasty was a hitter.
Yeah. New Capenna.
New Capenna. Actually, that's a pretty good point. I wasn't as hot on New Capenna, but like
But I think,
this
like-
set, I'm back.
Yeah, like on average, I think they've all like some people weren't too high on Neon Dynasty. People like going into Neon Dynasty were really like
Yeah.
Kamigawa was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
but this was a banger. I like this one. I especially like the stained glass treatment for the legendaries and the lands.
Yeah.
I think is amazing.
I think one thing I have heard from my drafty friends is that drafting has been kind of hit or miss all summer back into the spring.
I can see that.
And
yeah.
so they're really hoping that this doesn't get solved as quickly. Apparently, between limited resources and all the data crunch you got from like Untapped GG and all that stuff
see
on
that,
Arena, you're getting to the point where you could have quote unquote the draft book on like week 3 of a season, and that kind of stinks.
Yeah.
And that, don't get me wrong, I understand that's always going to happen whenever you have a digital format, whenever you
Right.
have the ability to play that many games.
Millions of people playing
It's
constantly.
It's not even just like from the digital format. It's not just like playing that game and playing advance of paper. It's being digital. You're able to collect all that data.
Exactly.
And that's what it is. Like
And so I don't really want to see Wizards move away from allowing us to collect that data, because I think that just makes everything
It's
feel
weird.
bad.
Yeah, right. It's a weird juxtaposition. I guess hearkening back to my own life in some ways. I play a lot of Monster Hunter,
Yeah.
where it's a really good game to have those people that are like crunching data and whatever, because then it's like, hey, look, this is a thing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you like want to know those things before you waste resources from a hunt on building something that isn't what you wanted or whatever.
Right.
Whereas here it's like, yeah, you kind of, if you narrow things down too quickly, limited formats could be very boring.
Well,
very
and not
fast.
and not only that, but I think the specific thing that does is it creates a definitive cliff in what you have to know to have a good time drafting.
Right, yeah, like it's Johnny casually drafting on a every Sunday or Friday or whatever for fun is getting beat out by Greg, who drafts 6 times a day and reads all of the books.
Right, and Greg should have an advantage,
Sure.
but he shouldn't necessarily have the level of advantage I think that we've seen on the last few sets. Again, I don't follow Limited quite that closely as I used to, but my understanding is that we're really hoping for this set to kind of be off the chain, as it were. So all that said, folks, I think that's it from us on...
one more.
Oh,
Favorite card from the regular set.
right, you're right. Come back to me.
Okay, Jan Regard.
Come back to me.
I don't have one either. I'm going to say the Elf Lord. Mine's the Elf Lord.
Let's just scan by real quick to see.
Mine's Llanowar, whatever his ass is.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Leaf Crowned Visionary is mine.
Crowned Visionary.
I saw that card and I was like, oh, you mean exactly what I needed for my all creatures elf deck?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're for a Primal Surge. Oops, don't need the Primal Surge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, it's probably the Angel that puts 2 1/1 counters on 2 power things.
That's pretty good.
Sarah Redeemer.
Sarah Redeemer, yeah.
Sarah Redeemer. Yeah, I think that's really good.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say, like, strictly speaking, for card that I'm very likely going to play, it's gonna be the Red Saga.
Yeah, you think so?
And then
the Pyroclasm
on a stick.
Elder Dragon
War. But for like combination of flavor and like low key, a card type I've always loved but don't play a lot of, I do like the Urza Makes the Titans as well.
Yeah, the other
That's
saga,
a good
the white one.
The white
Urza
saga
assembles the Titans.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Any case, folks, thanks so much for watching today. This is, I think, going to be the last of the Dominaria United set review stuff you see from us. So if there's a common or uncommon you just desperately need our opinion on, leave a comment below here. We'll be sure to maybe get around to you, probably, I hope.
If you want a specific Spike's opinion, leave their name.
Yes.
We'll relay it to them, but not all of us read the comments all the time. So
If you just want to leave a comment because you like the video, please do that. If you want to leave a like because you like the video, please do that. And if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. We put out videos every week all about Magic, keeping you up to date and giving you some entertainment. In the meantime, though, folks, if you need any of these cards that you saw today, I would recommend going over to face-to-facegames.com, and you can use the code SPIKEFEEDERS to get 5 whole % off your order over there. They ship everywhere in the world, and they can help you fill out your collection for a little bit less money than you would have paid normally by using our code. It also helps support the show.
yeah, lets them know that we sent you and they like when we sent you.
Yeah.
And we like when we sent you because they like it. And then
It's just
And we
nice
like
for
that you're
everybody.
watching.
Yeah. So, folks, thanks so much for watching today. We hope you have a great day. And in the meantime, have a good one.
Hey, thank you for checking out the Spike Feeders on YouTube. If you're not subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button before you close the window. Or you can click on this link to check out our other great videos.